pasado. El déficit era el huevo de serpiente de todos nuestros males, ya que sin déficit no hay...
All right, let's see. Let's do a mic check. We gotta remember to always do a
El déficit era el huevo de serpiente de todos nuestros males,
sounds
ya que sin déficit no hay...
And let me pull it up on my X phone. Where is my X phone? There it is. 1, 2. There it is. Okay. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. Okay, let's see.
Hi, this is a video.
Yeah. Debunking Candace. New Jared Isaacman reveals Fate of Polaris program.
My top agenda, what I'm incredibly passionate about, is the competitiveness of our nation.
So with Jared Isaacman getting ready to take over as the head of NASA, many of you have been asking me what is going to happen with the Polaris Dawn program. Well, we've gained a little bit more insight after an interesting discussion at a Space Force conference featuring Jared Isaacman. And it's a 45-minute talk. You should listen to it if you're interested. But
what do we know about the evidence in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian?
All right, Alex, thank you. This morning, we're learning new evidence found in the killing of United Healthcare CEO in New York last week. Fingerprints found on a water bottle at the crime scene matched Luigi Mangione's prints at his booking. Police say the 26-year-old suspect was arrested with a 3D printed gun, a silencer, and a handwritten 3-page note, reading in part, "These parasites simply had it coming."
He certainly was trying to justify what he was doing. Of course, you cannot justify what he did.
Right now, Mangione's fighting extradition to New York. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was a father to 2 sons. He was laid to rest this week at a private funeral in his home state of Minnesota.
Terrible. Announces clemency pardons. Biden is going to pardon this idiot. I mean, it looks like the pain or the surgery drove him to insanity, but it just drove him to Marxism. That is all that Marxism is. It's insanity. There's nothing sane about Marxism. American imprisoned Syria freed following fall of Assad regime. Why are there Americans imprisoned anywhere in the world? That should be an act of that is an act of war, isn't it? Racist YouTuber says everyone should be afraid of black people.
What's good, guys? So right out the gate here, I'm going to share something very interesting with you that there's a slim chance that you might already know. So when I first started making commentary videos, one of the first...
I wish I could play it faster.
First people I covered, whose video actually did pretty well for my channel, was the Synthetic Man.
I mean, what do you mean it's not woke? Yeah, you don't think erasing white people from existence is woke, maybe?
What? Who's somebody who most of you have probably never heard of, and if you have, you might have a good idea as to why I talked about him, and it has a lot to do with this video you're watching right now. So the Synthetic Man had a serious, unjustified issue with wokeism, and by wokeism, he means, oh, there's another black person in a movie, what's up with that? There's another black person in a game, what's up with that?
Creed game set in Japan, just like we all wanted. And of course, it stars a black man in feudal Japan.
You know, and he just cried and cried and cried, woke, 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 woke. He's like the boy that cried wolf, and instead of wolf, it was woke. And it got to a point where people were just fed up with him. I was like, no, you're not crying about wokeism, you're just racist. And that's all there is to it. Now, I don't need to go into depth and explain why we came to that conclusion about the synthetic man, but it's pretty darn obvious if you spend even 4 seconds watching his videos crying about there being black characters in modern video games, or Hispanic characters, or Asian characters, whoever he wants to cry about that day. But that brings me to today's topic, okay? We found another creator here on YouTube. I don't know how I came across this video. I think I was watching a Sensitive Society video where it came up, and he goes by something vengeance. I don't know, cringy Reddit vengeance or something like that. Cringy Reddit incel revenge vigilante loser lunatic, whatever, I don't know, something like that. And his whole thing is he loves comic books like every little Reddit incel nerd does. No offense to people that like comic books. I'm not saying that people like comic books equal this, but those people, they always like comic books is what I'm saying. And he just cannot, I mean, he's already pretty red. I mean, he's a, you know, he's got the red hair and stuff, but
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I don't think that's the best evidence for it because, again, countries are pragmatic. Countries will.
This is something that people find very surprising. The Hasidic community, as a rule, is not Zionist. This group thinks that Zionism was the biggest catastrophe to happen to the Jewish people. The Satzma Rebbe, the first leader of this group, believed that the Holocaust was God's punishment for Zionism.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how he. So now, why? Why are they so anti-Zionist? The Jewish connection with Israel is ancient, it's deep, it's religious, it predates Zionism by thousands of years. There is a small group of people who you can find on pro-Palestine marches. They are called Neturei Karta. They'll ally themselves with anyone who is against Israel, including the Iranian regime.
What's going on, guys? We about to check out David Wackman, the crybaby who's smug as ever. This dude here, man, crying his behind off over everything. But of course, he's talking about Trump again, as usual. Let's check this out. Don't forget to hit the like button.
SpaceX never fails to surprise us.
Why is there no audio?
This man is a parasite. He didn't just incite his audience to commit an act of terror against Netanyahu. He deleted it afterwards. And now he's angry because people are happy about somebody else dying, not the person he wanted. Why does he have to lie about my reasons? See, it would be very easy to just have a conversation. And here's why he won't have that conversation. He just doesn't care. He's perfectly fine with a whole lot of Palestinian people dying and a whole lot of pro-Palestinian activists.
Hi, book people. This year I had 3 reading goals, and I mentioned them on my channel before. I was going to read 12 Hi, book people. This year I had 3 reading goals, and I mentioned them on my channel before. I was going to read 12 classic books, 12 classic sci-fi books, and then a third one that I said I started in November, and it would be super embarrassing if I didn't finish. Well, I did finish. I read books by and or about Richard Feynman, and I also made a video over here. If you haven't seen the video on my main channel and you're interested in Richard Feynman at all, you should probably go watch that first because there's going to be a big spoiler for that video in this video. And if you might go watch this first, but 3 hours is a long time. If you're just interested in the books, I am going to just spoil that right now. I'm going to spoil this video right now. See, I didn't know a year ago when I said I was going to read every book by Richard Feynman that Richard Feynman actually had never written a book. So I did read all the Feynman books. However, I didn't read a single book by Richard Feynman because that doesn't exist. Yeah. I thought I would go through, because I do want to go through all the books I've read this year, I thought I would go through all the Feynman books in a separate video, because I feel like this is a very niche topic that no one's going to be interested, except for me, probably. I thought I would go through all of these and then do the rest of the books that I read in a separate video. So today I will be ranking all of the Feynman books from worst to best. There's 2 reasons to do that. The first is that I just think it's funny. Like, it's funny to have a biographies from someone next to a Path Integral textbook, next to a book that was based on the text of the documentary, all next to each other, as if you could rank those apples to apples. That's silly, that's funny, that's fun. But also, if you just want to hear me talk about bad books, you can just watch the first part of the video. And as I move forward, there will be some timestamp where Editing Angela decides this is the time stamp where there are books I recommend. Like, from here forward.
I don't care.
Professor Dershowitz joins us now. What's, I'm sure, quite flattering to hear the Prime Minister speak of you like that, Professor Dershowitz. But is it not a day Israelis can be proud of? And Professor Dershowitz joins us now. What's, I'm sure, quite flattering to hear the Prime Minister speak of you like that, Professor Dershowitz. But is it not a day Israelis can be proud of, that a Prime Minister was brought to trial just like any other citizen would be brought to trial if he went through an investigation and charges were brought against him?
if he had committed a crime, it would be a day that Israel should be proud of. It will go down in history as a day on which Israel should be deeply ashamed. Israel is the first country in modern history ever put a political leader on trial for trying to get good media coverage or trying to eliminate negative media coverage.
Isn't that funny? That's one of the accusations. You got the case 1,000, case 200 or 2,000. You got the case 4,000. One of the accusations is he was trying to get favorable media coverage. How many times have you heard Trump say, you guys don't cover me well. You guys need to cover me better. You guys need did Trump violate the wanting to give favorable media coverage law? Like, that's one of many accusations. It's just stupid.
The Knesset would never in a million years pass a statute making it a crime to try to obtain good media coverage, because if they did, half of the members of the Knesset would be imprisoned. So if you want to try people on these offenses, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, let the Knesset pass statutes. But what Israel's doing is using vague, open-ended, broad statutes in order.
Man, the vague, open-ended, broad statutes, communists will manipulate the crap out of them. That's why it's funny. When I first got to Israel, this was like a year and a half ago. I was in my Hebrew class. I was trying to understand the politics. First question I asked, what's your guys' conservative media and what's your guys' left-wing media, just so I can get a balanced perspective. They're like, oh, we don't have any different. Like, one of my friends, she worked for I-24 News. She worked for this newsroom. She still works there. And she's like, no, we don't really have that. We all, it's all kind of the same. I'm like, what do you? First of all, in the back of my head, I'm like, that can't be true. But I said whatever. And second of all, I realized that Israel doesn't have a constitution. And then, like the courts, they can create laws. So the thing is about courts in America is we have a constitution. They interpret the laws. They use the laws as a reference for their rulings, right? But the thing is, if there's no constitution, then it's open. It's relatively open-ended. So it's just a big mess. And I don't know how they've been able to carry on for so long. But it just seems like it's a recipe for disaster, considering the fact of how many communists there are in Israel.
To create new crimes that have never, ever been used in a democracy before. So yes, this case is unprecedented, but the important part of it is not it's unprecedented because the prime minister is on trial in Israel. It's unprecedented because the charges being brought against Netanyahu are not crimes.
Professor Dershowitz, let me ask you, with your
crimes.
Listen to him. It's like CNN. They try to we don't like what you're saying. Let's interrupt you.
Of course, we're talking about different cases. In the first case, 1,000, the prime minister received expensive gifts from a wealthy business in America, then intervened to try to have that the U.S. Secretary of State extend a visa for that businessman. Is that not a crime, a case of fraud and breach of trust?
Not at all. Let me tell you why. They don't charge quid pro quo because there was no quid pro quo. And if you want to make a crime, let the Knesset say anything up to 10,000 shekels is okay, but 10,001 shekels is not okay. But you can't have a statute which leaves it up to the prosecution to decide how much is too much. It gives them discretion.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, did you get that? Like, that's crazy. That is way too much power.
Too much discretion. It allows for selective prosecution. If you want to make a crime, and many states in the United States have made a crime to accept more than $10,000, $1,000, set a number. And then if the number is exceeded, that's the end of it. But you can't make it a crime to say he took too much, especially when there's no specific allegation that in exchange for the specific money, he did illegal acts A, B, C, and D. So no, 1,000 fails. And again, Israel should never have brought a criminal prosecution based on 1,000. 2,000 and 4,000 are different. I'm very familiar with Israeli law. I'm very familiar with these allegations. And none of the three of them survive analysis.
Professor Dershowitz, you say unprecedented for a prime minister to be prosecuted to try to influence media coverage. But Prime Minister Netanyahu
what does that mean?
Deliberately took on the post of a communications minister to personally make decisions regarding regulatory issues in disarrangement with these two media figures. Isn't that a crime? If he wasn't going to commit a crime, why did he take on the post of communications minister?
Well, it has to be a crime. You can't charge somebody with motive. People take on positions.
Yeah, and this is what kind of bothered me is like you have to have specific laws. You can't. I don't try to present myself as a lawyer, but I understand the fundamental characteristic of a law and how it can be exploited if it's not very specific. It gives too much power to the prosecutors so that they can leverage it
all the time in order to achieve both personal and national goals. But it can't be a crime to seek positive or avoid negative media coverage. If the Knesset wants to make that a crime, let them take a vote. I predict if the Knesset took a vote on making a crime to get positive media coverage, it would not get a single vote. Not a single vote. So here's my challenge. Let the Knesset pass a law. Let the Knesset debate the issue of whether or not seeking media coverage, even changing a position, seeking a position if that could be proved, to get media coverage is a crime. The Knesset would vote no. And if the Knesset wouldn't pass such a law, how can a prosecutor create a crime?
Professor Dershowitz,
how can a judge impose a conviction?
I would like you to stay.
If the Knesset didn't pass it?
Professor Dershowitz, we're going to go for a brief break. I do want to stay.
Oh my gosh, dude. I hate mainstream media.
With you. I do want to point out in this last election, the parties that supported...
And this is what's funny, right? You have news organizations that, for me, I don't pretend to be unbiased. I'm very biased. But these news organizations, we're Israel 24, we're for everybody, we have no bias. Man.
Prime Minister immunity. Openly had said that failed to get a majority in the Knesset in the Israeli parliament. The voters did have a... Well, we could vote no. Majority. Parties that support... I do want to point out in this last election, the parties that supported giving Prime Minister immunity openly had said that failed to get a majority in the Knesset in the Israeli parliament. The voters did have a... Well, we certainly could pick up that issue if you like after the break. And we'll speak a little more perhaps about what legal advice at this stage you would offer Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So please, Alan Dershowitz, stay with us and we ask the viewers.
Create a constitution, create concrete laws so that when they're violated, it's clear and not open-ended for evil motives.
Constitution and laws are two different things. I think there are laws in Israel, but there is no constitution. But there are laws. There's a legal system.
To show through.
It just happens that these laws are open-ended. So they are ripe for abuse.
Yeah, I mean, what does that have to do with the crime? I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, laws, like, you have to be very specific. Mossad will protect Bibi at any cost. We'll see. I think so. I think the Mossad sometimes is, these like the Mossad, the CIA, it seems like they have other interests than the interests of the people, which bothers me because nobody elects them. So I don't like that very much. Israel has no written constitution, but it does have extended constitutional arrangements. They make basic laws, constitutional rulings. They have like they call them basic laws.
This morning, the case against Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old accused of murdering CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan, appears to be getting stronger. NYPD investigators say they've made significant forensic breakthroughs on the gun found on the alleged killer when he was arrested in Pennsylvania.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown.
The police commissioner also says Mangione's fingerprints matched those found on a water bottle and Kind bar wrapper found near the crime scene.
We've already got some powerful evidence for the prosecution.
According to 2 sources familiar with the investigation, in addition to 3 handwritten pages, Mangione also had a notebook with this written inside. What do? You whack the CEO at the annual parasitic bean
He needs to be executed, but I don't think New York has execution.
counter convention. It's targeted, precise, and it doesn't risk innocence. Mangione's attorney says his client plans to plead not guilty to the charges. The murder of an executive at one of the largest private health insurers in the country has unleashed a torrent of anger at the industry. Yesterday, Senator Elizabeth Warren making headlines with these remarks.
Violence is never the answer. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
While authorities are warning of increased threats.
The impact is similar to that of a domestic terror attack. And that is already being reflected in this just torrent of.
Yeah, this is terrorism. He's trying to make political influence using terror.
Online vitriol.
The Predator. Let me see, Mr. Predator. How can you execute an innocent and like this? He is a hero. Well, he is a terrorist. I think he should be. What he did is terrorism. It's political. He's trying to gain political influence through terrorizing, right? This is literal terror. He's a terrorist. No, it's not. The insurance companies are the real terrorists here. If you think the insurance companies are terrorists, then you need to charge them with a crime of terrorism. You can't just tell me that's your opinion. If you think there is a crime, then what's the crime? Charge them. They denied claims and kill people. Okay, a claim is a contract. If you deny a claim, you're not abiding by a contract. So there's contract laws and there's courts. You go to the court, you sue the insurance company in the court, and the courts, they decide. And maybe you're right. Maybe the CEO is a criminal and needs to be punished. But until such time, then denying a claim is legal. The court has to decide that the denial of the claim is not legal. But it's not up to you or me to decide that. They gave influence by bribing government and denying claims. Again, these are accusations. Then you need to go to the police, file a complaint with the police, and get the ball rolling that giving bribe is illegal. And if you think denying claims is illegal, then you need to file complaints. And so far, this has not been done, so you cannot just nilly-willy blame people for crimes. We have something that is known as the presumption of innocence, innocent until proven guilty. Otherwise, I could claim that you're a criminal, and you'll claim that I'm a criminal, and society falls apart. So that's not very productive. No, they lobbied the government to change the law. As far as I know, lobbying is legal. You can lobby too. So there's no issue with it. That's like freedom of speech. Cry about it, little puss boy. Cry about it? What do you mean cry? We have a disagreement and I am mopping the floor with your face. You're wrong. I'm explaining to you why you're wrong. To say something like telling me that I'm crying and calling me a puss boy, a little puss boy. That's what usually that's what people do when they lose a debate. So if you're insinuating that you've lost a debate and you have nothing left in your arsenal, and okay, then yeah, I accept your defeat. How can you go to court when you're dead, idio? Uh, I don't understand. How can you go to court when you're dead? I don't know what you're talking about. Who's dead? An insurance company pays the bill. You get a bill, and you can decide to pay it yourself, or I mean, there's different things you can do. I mean, if you don't have enough money to cover the bill, then you declare bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy, and you don't have to pay anything, and you don't die. Either way, you get the medical attention. This has nothing to do with the medical attention. We're talking about who's going to pay the bill for the medical expenses. I don't know what you mean by dying. I'm assuming you mean that the person who has the medical insurance died because they didn't get the medical attention. So that has basically nothing to do with that. Now, anyway, yeah, you're welcome to join me and we can discuss it. What you're saying has nothing to do with reality. Yeah, idiot. I understood that. The court don't need to decide she is. Yeah, this is a claim is part of the process, right? You're claiming that the insurance company needs to abide by the policy that you purchased, which is a contract. So this falls under contract law. Contract law is decided if there is a disagreement between the parties. It's usually decided in court by a judge. So the courts do need to decide. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I can decide for myself. You can decide for yourself? No. I maybe I don't understand you. So, why don't you join me here? Here is a link. Here is a link. You can join me and we can have a discussion. You cannot. I don't know what you mean. You can decide for yourself. Decide what for yourself? I don't understand. No, the police work for the insurance companies. Okay, why would the police work for the insurance companies? The police are paid ultimately, by the taxpayers. So I don't know what you mean that the police work for the insurance company. I don't know what that means. That sounds like a conspiracy theory. So if you think the police are corrupt somehow, then again, you need to go to the police and file a complaint. You can't just nilly-willy make up stories and live your life in some fantasy delusion. You need to live in reality. Marxism is basically delusion. It's fantasy. It's nothing to do with reality. No, you are lying. What am I lying about? What are you talking about? What am I lying about? Maybe I'm wrong about something and you're welcome to correct me, but what am I lying about? Why would I lie? I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care either way. To me, I mean, I happen to be a capitalist. I used to speak. I used to talk like the murderer. I probably was I would have been on his side many years ago, many years ago, because I was a communist. I was a socialist. So I used to believe exactly like you believe. I used to say exactly the things that you say. But since then, I learned, I've outgrown this childish misunderstanding of life. So, I'm being truthful. I'm letting you know what I know at this point. You're welcome to join me, ask me questions. We can discuss it. I can blame people. F you. You can do whatever you want. You're a free person, but you might end up blaming the people who are trying to help you. You might end up killing the goose that is laying the golden eggs. You are destroying capitalism, which is a system that gives you the highest quality of life known in the known universe. And you're replacing it with communism, which is known to destroy the quality of life. And there's no limit to the destruction. So you can see, if you want to see what communism ultimately looks like, go to North Korea. Look up North Korea. That is ultimate communism. Communism is always at a gunpoint. Why do you think North Korea is so violent? Why is it such a ruthless dictatorship? Just like the murderer. Communism and socialism have to be uh um can only exist at gunpoint. That's why Mr. Luigi used a gun, because there is no other way to have communism. It's all about killing. That's all that it is at the end of the day. You don't want to sit down and analyze, do an economic analysis, sit and study basic economics, study economics, and come up with a theory and test it. You don't want to go through the grueling scientific process. You want a quick answer. You want to have imaginary answers that the CEO is evil. We are going to kill the CEO and life will be better. But instead, all you're going to get is North Korea, because if you keep killing, you are recreating North Korea. That's what it looks like. Everyone in North Korea is executed all the time, and it just drives the quality of life to the ground. And that's all you're going to get. You're not going to get anything better. Oh, poor society falling apart. Where? Yeah, I mean, society's not going to fall apart. You're going to get North Korea. At the end, when society falls apart, you're going to get a ruthless dictator that will take over, just like in every communist society in history. Every communistic society devolved into a ruthless dictatorship. I don't think there's ever been an exception. And these ruthless dictators are ruthless. And, that's North Korea. So that's what you're going to get. You're not going to just get a societal collapse. You're going to get a societal collapse, and then you're going to get a ruthless dictator who's going to drive your quality of life completely to the ground. Listen to people that escaped North Korea. They don't eat food, they eat bugs. If they're lucky, they eat bugs that they find. That's and the um you couldn't mop the floor with a wonder mop. Anyway, I didn't lose anything. Well, I don't know what you mean. The person whose claim was denied, are you able to follow the conversation? The person whose claim was denied, I think you mean he died? Why would the person whose claim was denied die? A claim just means that you went to the hospital, you got medical attention, and then they sent you the bill. Now you want to talk to your insurance company and you want to ask them to pay for the bill. And they deny your claim. But you're not dead. You got, right? You're not dead because you got the attention. Now, you might not have enough money. You might need to declare bankruptcy. That's fine. But you're still going to get the medical attention. There is no, I don't think there is a situation in which you're not getting the medical attention, as far as I know. You will be refused treatment. You are lying. I don't think they can refuse treatment. I don't think anyone can refuse treatment. When you go, I think the law is that if you go to the emergency room, they have to treat you. What you are saying has nothing to do with reality, says you, laughing my ass off. That isn't an argument. What you're saying has nothing to do with reality. Look, you're welcome to join me and we can have a discussion. It has nothing to do with contract law. What do you mean? Then what is an insurance policy? As far as I know, an insurance policy is a contract between you and the insurance company. You pay them money and they are obliged to pay you in case, under certain circumstances. Slavery was a contract. Are you okay with slavery? I'm personally okay with slavery, but there is the 14th Amendment that specifically does not allow for slavery under certain circumstances. We still have slavery. The 14th Amendment allows for slavery in the penal system. So when you go to jail, you can be a slave. They can decide to enslave you. You work in the jail system, and you don't get paid, or it's way under the minimal wage. So we still have slavery, and I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine with slavery, but I don't. But that's just me. But it doesn't matter. The point is that it's a different topic which we could discuss on a different day. Right now we're discussing this thing, and as far as I understand, when you purchase an insurance policy, that's a contract, and a claim is you claiming that the insurance company needs to pay you or pay the hospital, or you're making a claim against the contract. It's all based on a contract. So it's contract law, and courts, their basic function is to enforce a contract. Not joining, you smell. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, Hover Jevince.
What's up, Theo?
What?
What are you doing?
I'm responding to questions from Mr. the Predator.
Is it about Bell's theorem again?
No, it's about the murder of the CEO. A lot of people are on the side of the murderer, so I'm still discussing that issue.
We don't know if it was murder. I mean, it just it could be. The CEO could have tried to kill him first, and he's trying to stop the CEO from killing him first. You never know. Like, that could be any.
Mr. the Predator
I don't know all the details.
Mr. the Predator claims that the CEO was a terrorist because CEOs of health insurance companies are terrorists.
I don't know if all of them are terrorists.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway,
I mean, if they have evidence that they're a terrorist, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. If you think, I don't think you can just kill a terrorist. I don't think you're allowed to murder someone that you think is a terrorist unless they are threatening your life. And even then, you need to be.
But if they're a terrorist, they would be threatening everyone's lives by default. They're terrorists.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, they would be a danger to everybody.
Not
But what
necessarily.
kind of terrorist isn't a danger to people? Like, I don't understand.
Well, in any case, you need to file a complaint. The police need to investigate, or the FBI, and then the
Wait, if
courts
someone
need.
breaks into your house and tries to kill you, do you need
That's
to file a complaint
that's
or
not
defend it?
but that's not terrorism.
I didn't say it was
Terrorism.
terrorism. I'm just bringing an analogy here. I
Uh,
mean, that would be a kind of terrorism, actually, because they're terrorizing you in your home, right? They're breaking in, they're attacking you.
yeah, but
That means that you have a right to defend yourself.
yeah, but
If
that's
you have a right to defend yourself from someone breaking and entering into your home, I mean, why wouldn't you have a right to defend yourself against terrorists?
anyway. Do you want to talk about Bell's theorem?
I don't know much about it. Did you figure something out about it? Did you get a breakthrough?
No, I didn't touch it.
You did.
But yeah, because we didn't have ChatGPT, I need to communicate with ChatGPT. Really, all I want to tell ChatGPT, because I want to ask ChatGPT to create a function that will give me the red line.
You can ask any of the AIs to do that. Like, any of them will do that.
What do you mean, any of them? I don't know anyone else besides ChatGPT. Who? Like, give me an example of
What
another.
do you mean? You don't know any large learning models except ChatGPT?
Exactly. Yeah. So you have a link? You want to send me a
You,
link?
any of the other AI
Like, I don't know
will
what
do.
that means. I don't know what that means.
Any of the other large learning models.
Yeah, I understand what you mean,
respond.
but I don't know how. Okay, I don't know what to do with
Like,
those
have you heard of
words.
Gemini? Have you heard of
Gemini,
Claude?
but
Like,
Gemini. So Gemini is built into my Google Colab notebook, but I
right, so
cannot.
what's the issue then? Use that.
But I'm trying to show the AI a graph that I would like the AI to create a
Yeah, you can
math.
show.
Mhm.
But you can show Gemini a graph.
I'm trying. I'm doing copy paste. There's no paste. The paste operation fails for Gemini. I don't know. I mean, do you mean
Is not an upload option? What do you mean paste?
what? Look, here. Let me show you my screen. So here's Gemini, right? It says here Gemini, and here is here is the image that I wanna, right? I wanna create a mathematical function that creates the red line. So I want to, right? I want to do a paste here. There isn't paste, but there is no paste, right? I'm doing a copy here. I don't know how to do a yeah, here. This is copy. And I go here and I do paste. Nothing happens. You see the problem? That's the problem. Whereas with ChatGPT, I can easily paste the image and ChatGPT immediately understands it. And now I can ask ChatGPT to create the function. Now I'm going to give.
But you can't do that because ChatGPT is not working, so I don't know why you're bringing it up.
What do you mean? It is.
You just told me it wasn't working.
Who said? Yesterday.
You just said that a second ago.
Yesterday
Oh,
it
yesterday.
worked.
Okay. Yeah, but yesterday you could have used another AI.
Well, so I'm asking you which one. So I showed you. Okay.
I
So
just explained that Gemini has that feature.
where? Here's Gemini. There's no paste. The paste fails.
That's according to you.
What? Show me. What do you mean according
Show
to
you
me?
what? I just show you.
Look, like with ChatGPT, I just do paste. If I just do paste, here is the image, and it works. With Gemini,
Okay, so wait a minute.
I cannot paste an image.
What do you mean?
What do you? I don't understand. I need to show Gemini. I need to show the AI an image.
Okay.
So OpenAI
No
allows
other AI
me.
can do that.
OpenAI allows me to paste an image. So I need an AI that allows me to paste an image. So I don't know any other AI. I don't know any other AI besides Gemini. And Gemini does not paste images. So I don't know what else to
You can
say.
upload images to Gemini. I don't know. I don't agree.
What?
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Here's Gemini. Right button click. Do you see paste? Do you see that?
Have you tried Copilot or Claude?
I don't know what that means. What is Copilot? What is
Like
Claude?
any of the other AI.
You mean like go write Copilot?
Yeah.
.com?
It's good. Like Copilot is the Microsoft one. Like Google Bard does that. Just like Microsoft Bing has it. I don't know. I mean, Google Cloud Vision. There's also like OpenCV.
One second. Let me stop the sharing. Create. Anyway, right now, ChatGPT works. So let me use ChatGPT for now. Inhuman, hellos.
Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
What?
What's up?
Oh, what's up? What's up? We're doing Bell's paradox again. Okay. So I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to create a method, basically the particle class. Let me see. Let me run it. Oh, it's done. And then let's run this guy. But this is not the original. Yeah, this has weight. Okay. So before we have this weight, before the weight, okay, so the problem is that it doesn't reach 1 nor 0. It starts at 0.25 and it ends with 0.75. So it's only half of the probability that I need. So it's not, so it doesn't trace. So I'm going to take this code and give it to ChatGPT, and then I'm going to take the output and shove it down. Yeah. Did you hear about that girl that slept with 100 men in one day?
What?
There's
What are you talking?
an OnlyFans
Yeah, doesn't
girl.
she have chlamydia and everything now? Like
No.
chlamydia, HSV2. Yes, she does. She tested positive.
I don't even know what
Yeah.
that is.
You don't know what sexually transmitted diseases are? What are you talking?
I don't know the specifics. I've never had anything. Okay. So I'm going to show it the output. And then I'm going to ask it to try and stretch it.
I posted 2 images in the side chat. What are you up to, Inhuman?
What I'm up to, I'm currently becoming more confused since I
Wait,
don't know anything.
she didn't use a
You don't know
condom?
anything about what? I don't know. I'm gonna check with her. I don't.
So what kind of news is that? Like some random person had a disease? How is that relevant?
And he just brought it up. I don't know how it's relevant. He just brought it up a minute ago. I bet she's probably not covered by the insurance companies. I don't cover STDs.
Well, I don't think. Is there an issue with these illnesses? I don't know. What are
No,
the
illnesses are fine. We actually don't really need medicine. There's no point in even really treating illnesses.
Mm-hmm. Like what are the symptoms?
I'm sure you can Google symptoms of chlamydia.
Okay. Anyway, so let's ask OpenAI, ChatGPT, let's ask it to modify this method, the measure, so that please modify.
If only physicists would use ChatGPT, then physics would be solved.
Please I can't understand what you're saying. Please modify particle measure so that.
What do you mean?
I can't understand what you're saying. So that the plot.
Well, why can't you understand me?
Well, you're speaking very quietly, very quickly. You're not enunciating the words clearly.
I am.
Well,
Commenters, comment below if you can hear me.
now I can understand. It's not about hearing. I couldn't understand. I didn't understand the previous sentence that you
Okay,
said.
okay.
So please modify particle measure so that the plot reaches 1 at 180 degrees and 0 at 0 and 360. So we're already doing sine squared of half the angle. So that's not going to fix anything. So it didn't change anything. So it's claiming that at 180, it's 1. All right, let's copy. No. So let's just measure. Here's the new measure. Run it. Run this guy. And copy and paste. Unable to upload image. Why is it unable to upload image?
See, you can't even upload images to ChatGPT. I told you. Gemini doesn't have that problem.
No, previously I was able, but like halfway through it
No.
refuses.
Exactly. So I
So
mean,
I'm just gonna tell
halfway
it.
through it refuses. Can't do it.
I cannot upload the output plot image, but it looks the same. It does not reach 1 at 180.
You're feeling human.
Nor
What's up,
0
Marcus?
at 0 and
Yeah, what you up to? What you doing? Any news?
Any news? No news.
Okay, well, it was nice talking to you. I'm gonna go.
Why?
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Uh, he says print out values, test these, verify, potential issue. Let me give it the simulation code. And let's replace it's going to give us some debug output. Hidden angle. All right, bye. So the last comments, I'm not joining, you smell, go to the corrupt police and make a complaint. So the police are also corrupt. Okay. So yeah, why don't you start executing the police as well, like they do in North Korea? I'm not a Marxist. Yes, you are. You are, most definitely. Okay, so we need how do we copy? I don't know if we're going to be able to paste it here. Yeah, the message submitted was too long. Please submit something else. Let's start from here. Mhm. Failed to generate. Mhm. Hmm? Um, I don't know. Mm. Mm. Mhm. Mhm. So modify measure. Well, let me show you measure. What's this? Move cell up. So run it again. Okay, so now I want to try and recreate the blue line. So the blue line is recreated. So let me give it. So please modify measure, right? It's called measure. Please modify measure. So what we did last time rand. We're going to have a rand. A rand variable that we're going to pass, and we're going to use rand the rand variable that we will, well, it's going to be a self rand, and we're going to create a random when we create the particle, we're going to create rand is equal to random. We're going to give both of them the same value. Well, it reaches 1, but still doesn't reach 0. What? He's canceling the F-35 contract? That's ridiculous. The F-35 is the most successful jet ever. How can you complain about the F-35? It's basically an alien technology. Jesus Christ. That's Elon Musk. Elon Musk told them to cancel the F-35. Terrible. Anyway, I need to be able to recreate the blue line first. It's interesting that I'm able to create sort of the blue line, but not really. And it's not even symmetric. Really strange. Let's try. Please modify measure. The plot should look like a cosine wave. Zero at 0 and 360, and 1 at 180. I don't see that there's a difference. No, there isn't. Please modify measure. Zero and 180 and 360. $90 and $270. Maximum randomness. Yeah, but you can't. That's ridiculous. And it didn't even change. No, the randomness should have a varying weight. Doesn't even reach. Doesn't reach anything. Oh my God. Plane crashed on Texas highway.
A very interesting game, this poker. It does have advantages over chess. Love to teach it to you.
This is the commander of the Viserys.
Here it comes. Is it raise or call?
The destruction of your vessel has been delayed. We will relent in your destruction.
That's why I don't judge.
Willow is not like any other chip we know. It's a quantum chip. In simpler words, it can solve a problem that none of our supercomputers can. And Google claims to have tested this chip. Willow was given a problem. It took five minutes to solve it. Do you know how the fastest supercomputer fared? It would take 10 septillion years to solve the same problem. Quantum computers are not designed for daily work. They're designed to solve big problems, problems that are too tough for our computers to handle. The rise of quantum computing also brings challenges. The first one is viability. Problem number 2 is logistics. And the third is the question of security. In February, Apple made an announcement. It was making its iMessage encryption quantum proof. This is to stop future computers from reading them. That time has not come yet, but quantum computing is no longer the stuff of science fiction.
Yes,
Willow
it
is
is.
not like any other chip we know. It's a quantum chip.
No.
In simple.
Here's what to do when the police are at your door.
Where are you from? Your English is perfect.
San Diego.
Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Orange County, but I never actually lived there.
I mean, before that.
Before I was born.
Where are your people from?
Well, my great grandma was from Seoul.
Korean. I knew it. I was like, she's either Japanese or Korean, but I was leaning more towards Korean.
Amazing.
Hamshasina. I actually really like kimchi.
Cool. What about you? Where are you from?
San Francisco.
But where are you from?
No, I'm just American. Oh, well, I guess my grandparents are from England.
Hello, Governor! Let's go sporty! Double, double, toil and trouble!
I think your people's fish and chips are amazing.
Where are you from? Your English is perfect.
San Diego.
San Diego.
Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Orange County, but I never actually lived there.
I mean, before that.
Before I was born.
Where are your people from?
Well, my great grandma was from Seoul.
Korean. I knew it. I was like, she's either Japanese or Korean. So I was leaning more towards Korean.
Amazing.
Hamshasina. I actually really like kimchi.
Cool. What about you? Where are you from?
San Francisco.
But where are you from?
Oh, I'm just American. Oh, well, I guess my grandparents are from England.
Hello, Governor! Let's go sporty! Double, double, toil and trouble!
I think
if you've ever thought, what if I just dug a really, really deep hole? That's what the USSR did right here. That hole is 12.2 kilometers or 7.6 miles deep. That makes it deeper than the Mariana Trench. It's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. The USSR dug it starting in 1970. It was part of a race to see who could retrieve a sample from the Earth's mantle first. Kind of a space race, but the opposite. The United States only reached 600 feet before
Can't they
pulling funding. The
use
USSR
the heat for energy?
Hi, Janet. What's up?
Here's a breakthrough. For the first time ever, astronomers have captured an image of a star beyond the...
I knew before you guys knew. I heard things on the street in Hollywood. You know, you just be out, see.
Before opening the Bombay doors, all 3 arming plugs are pulled one after the other by the weaponeer William Sterling. Deke Parsons, the doors open and the bomb falls due to gravity. Then it switches to its internal 24-volt battery and starts the timer. After 15 seconds, the bomb would be approximately 600 feet or 1,100 meters away from the aircraft. Step number 3, the perimeter senses the desired height of around 580 meters or 1,900 feet. As the little boy was designed to
Mimic, you are not a fucking husky. Get in the house.
That?
This F-16 is outrating me, which means I have to get the gun kill as quickly as possible. I exchange what precious energy I have for instantaneous turn rate and pull the F-16 into my HUD. I blindly fire, but all of my shots fall short, which leaves me with very little energy and in a desperate situation.
I'll do anything. I'll do whatever it takes to...
I hold the trigger down, press the Cobra button, and rip the nose around. One 30mm round takes out the F-16's only vertical stabilizer, and it departs flight. This F-16...
Mont Saint-Michel, France. A breathtaking blend of beauty and history. This iconic island...
This is some chromal chloride that I made about...
You put garlic and onion together?
Yes.
Oh, see, where I come from.
The destruction of your vessel has been delayed. We will relent in your destruction only if we have proof of your Corbomite device.
Hold on that. Let him sweat for a change. Ship to ship.
Hailing frequency, sir.
Request denied.
The destruction of your...
The Franklin Fire in Malibu.
This video is from 2022, so it's about time you get an update as we've learned a lot about vapes since then. Now, during that time, a lot of panic was spreading about a condition associated with vaping called E-Valley, causing people who are otherwise well to essentially go into respiratory failure, needing hospitalization. This is a genuine concern and has ended people's lives, but now we do know that it was mainly because of an ingredient called vitamin E acetate, which is mainly in THC and illegal cheap vapes. We know though in the short to medium term, vaping is significantly less risky than smoking, but there are lots of smokers out there who will not go onto vapes because they're still concerned about the side effects. Of course, the best option is to not smoke or vape and use one of these nicotine replacement therapies, but if vaping is used to get off smoking, that is definitely a plus.
She must have said to herself, why couldn't I have a son who plays baseball? Why not basketball? Why can't you find...
This is a 4th generation Su-27. I'm flying a 1st generation MiG-15. Luckily, this is a guns-only dogfight, but I've already made a mistake. I can outrate him in a 2-circle, but I've given him so much turning room off the merge that he can pull for a shot. And as he takes off part of my wing, I push full opposite rudder to get back control and then start to eject. But then I realize I've actually got control of the aircraft. I'm still pushing in the rudder as hard as I can, but now I'm thinking maybe there's still a chance. At this point, most of my tactics have gone out the window, but I'm thinking if I can get him on a head-on, I can at least take both of us out. And I still have the tighter radius, even though I'm having to go full opposite rudder. I've got enough control to get my nose close. And as each pass gets closer and closer until finally it's a head-on, I'm finally able to land one of those big 37 millimeters.
Wow.
He ejects, and now I'm so glad I did not eject. This is a 4th generation.
Did you know that giant pandas exist?
This Su-27 puts 2 R-73s in my F-15's face. I flared too late and I got too slow. I instantly demanded a rematch and hatched a plan to use the biggest heat source in the solar system as my flare. After my eyes recover from a VR headset worth of sunlight, my plan has worked perfectly. I have defeated both of their missiles, but I'm too close and spray my gun, landing a single round in the flanker's horizontal stabilizer, which does absolutely nothing. And I now realize I'm going 400 knots straight down. My grey screen means my pilot is about to black out if I pull much more G. Once I've avoided the ground, I regain tally on my opponent and notice they are very slow. My aim 9 tracks but can't turn enough. Luckily this time, my gun actually takes them out of the fight. But once again, the Earth is in my way. I narrowly avoid these buildings, then celebrate 100,000 subs by knife edging through these towers.
Be bold. Raise the bed by 80 centimeters. Those who don't understand renovations just put the bed in the middle, with a wardrobe in the corner. But there's never enough space for clothes, and there's no place for a desk. Let me show you what I can do. Use galvanized square steel found by the roadside to make a bed frame. Wrap it in eco-friendly wood veneer and add slats to create a comfortable bed. Underneath the bed, add 3 pull-out drawers where you can hang clothes for your child from childhood to teenage years. Place soft padding on the bedside for cozy sleep and create a wall recess instead of a nightstand. Add a bed rail for extra safety. At the end of the bed, add 2 large drawers to organize underwear and socks, plus a pull-out cabinet for storing seasonal bedding. Above it, build a floor-to-ceiling wardrobe for longer clothing, making it easy to access. Next to the window, create a large desk for the child's study area. A floor-to-ceiling bookshelf in the corner holds all study materials. After the renovation, this small bedroom will be functional and double the storage capacity. Be bold. Raise the bed by 80 centimeters.
Really?
Those who don't understand...
Don't. Bandit. Bandit. No. Do not jump on it. Do not do it. Bandit. No.
You're a handsome little loaf. Yeah. You're so handsome.
Who else has a conversation like this?
This is hands down my most favorite way to pick up a cat. You just go, just like this.
He accepted his fate.
Figs, you cannot be out there. You are too fat to be on that ledge.
Garfield just wants some food.
Come on. Come on, get some snacks. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, just kidding. You only get one because you're fat.
He's ready to square up.
That's a wide stance, my guy. Super solid. No one's gonna tip you over.
Ever wondered how the universe is structured?
This meaningless home run in 1999 made this random lady rich. She was living paycheck to paycheck with her husband and kids. They only had one car. She didn't know anything about baseball and said she had never even been to a game because the family couldn't afford it. But she heard about a radio contest that allowed a lucky fan to win 4 free tickets to a Diamondbacks game. She called, got selected, and won the tickets. But they also gave her a chance to play a game. She had to predict which player would hit a grand slam and predict the inning he would hit that grand slam in. If she got it right, she would win $1 million. She and her husband randomly guessed Jay Bell to hit a home run in the 6th inning. The odds of him getting to the plate in the 6th inning when the bases just so happened to be loaded and hitting a home run with the bases loaded were 1 in 4,413. But Jay Bell...
Ever wondered how
this meaningless...
Speeder bikes have arrived at the checkpoint with the asset waiting confirmation. Knock it off. That's a go to proceed, but I advise you to double check. The mob just touched down and already took out a squad of local troopers. Did he just say that Gideon killed his own men? You guys like to lay down the law when they first arrive and attack.
I think we should call it Rome. Why not Ream? Ream? Let's just think.
You're late. No, I'm not. It's not even 11 yet. I'm like 5 minutes early. You were supposed to be here at 9. I was getting ready to write you up for being a no-call, no-show. 9? I'm scheduled to come in at 11 this whole week. You should have double-checked the schedule. If you did, you would have seen that you were supposed to clock in at 9 today. I double-checked it yesterday before I left. When did it change? Last night. What time? 11 p.m. You're funny, Frankie. I'm not joking around. You realized you were understaffed 12 hours ago, so you changed my schedule last minute while I was sleeping and actually expected me to be here 2 hours earlier? It's your job to show up at your scheduled time, and it's your job to effectively communicate.
Does this keep happening to you? Well, maybe it's because you haven't learned about jinx.
Sir. Excuse me. No. Let go. Really? Oh my.
These Brontosaurus toys have just pathetic little necks. No sauropod could have gotten away with a neck this long when it was just one single small round beam like this.
I'm going to classify you as an independent contractor. Just sign right here. Cool. I just have multiple questions.
Let's see. Will I control how the work is done? Am I free from your direction? Is the work outside?
I posted a video about guys not knowing what they want in their 30s.
Hello?
After police officers showed up at this man's home, he was sure there had to be some sort of mistake.
Who am I speaking to?
This is the owner of the house.
With his brother-in-law expected to drop by any moment, he wondered if his neighbors had spotted an unfamiliar individual and alerted the authorities. But something way more hilarious happened.
Is your brother-in-law supposed to be here?
Yes, he is.
No, there's some sort of mix-up. I'm sure he'll tell you the full story, but no one's in any trouble, and we'll let him go. Come on in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hey, Matt?
Yeah. What happened?
Hey, sorry. I feel bad. I jumped your neighbor's fence thinking it was your house.
Jesus.
Skip the garage. So, yeah, he called the cops on me. Understandably.
Wow.
Hello.
It's just a cigarette, and it cannot be that bad. Honey, don't you love me, and you know it makes me sad. It's just a cigarette, like you always used to do.
No fella could ignore the little girl next door. She sure looked sweet in her first evening gown. Now there's a charge for what she used to give for free in my hometown. I remember Dan, the druggist on the corner. He was never mean or ornery. He was swell. He killed his mother-in-law and ground her up real well, and sprinkled just a bit over each banana split. That fellow was no fool who taught our Sunday school, and neither was our kindly Parson Brown. I guess I better leave this line out just to be on the safe side. In my...
Okay, you don't have the right to open my door, sir. You're violating my constitutional right now. Sir, I don't have to step out the vehicle.
I'll see your video, Mom.
For my safety and your safety, I'm going to sit in this vehicle, and I'm requesting your supervisor now.
You can request a supervisor.
All right, let me give you my paperwork for the vehicle. Time is 7:25 p.m. Officer is trying to pull me out my vehicle, Holloway. All right, invalidated his traffic stop. Says he's stopping me for tinted windows, in which this is a temp permit from the state of Pennsylvania. All right, my driver's license, this is number 1. All right. Fire marshal identification, that's number 2. And badge to go with it. All right. Could you shut my door, please?
Trying to see if you're
all right, I'm requesting so he can shut my door. My door is I got speakers, aftermarket speakers on my door, in which they're being damaged. He has my door wide open, so you see. So when I file a complaint, you know, my speaker's being damaged, you guys will be able to see it. So what are you looking for? Okay, you don't have the right to open my door, sir. You're violating my constitutional.
Having some problems with my PC. I called earlier.
Oh, yes, that was me. What was the problem again?
I do think it'll be easier if I show you. It's kind of hard to explain.
Okay, yeah, sure. No, you know what? Follow me up back. We'll take a look.
Thanks.
If you could just insert your password.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. I'll load up Elden Ring for you.
Oh, okay. There must be a graphical issue. What's your GPU?
It's not a graphical issue. It's really hard to explain. Sorry.
Okay.
So just continue game.
What am I looking for?
There it is.
Oh, what?
It's the boss. The boss. He's impossible to beat. I can't beat him. I don't know how.
Oh
It's ridiculous.
Suppressor is not a silencer. A lot of people think it's a silencer. It does dub the noise down.
Don't put your finger over the barrel, please. Don't lose your finger.
A lot. You don't need to wear ear protection when you're shooting with a suppressor, but it's not like what you see on the movies where it sounds like a sewing machine. The main point of a suppressor is to suppress the flash that comes out of the end of the muzzle, whether it be pistol or rifle, because if you're shooting at night and you're in a combat scenario, every time you...
Theology. Some people argue that if he wants a sandwich, you make daddy a sandwich. Most of the time.
No. Let me ask you this. Well, okay, let me ask you this. If me and you out and somebody say something slick to you,
you punch him in the face.
You want me to smack him in his mouth, right?
That's right.
So if I take you on a date and I say, look, baby, we gonna go Dutch.
No.
Exactly. If we walking up to the car and I don't open your car door, what do you say?
Open the door.
You better believe it.
Yeah, no, I am with you. I think
so you make daddy a sandwich.
This boxer didn't just fool the matchmakers, he left everyone in the arena in shock. I guarantee you've never seen anything like this. The audience couldn't hold back their tears of laughter at what he just pulled off, while his opponent stood there completely clueless, not knowing what was going on. American boxer Curtis Harper was about to set social media on fire with one of the most unexpected moves in the history of the sport.
Why do they waste so much time with these long intros? What's the purpose?
The fight began like any other. Both fighters listened to the ref and waited for the first round to start. But just imagine the shock of everyone in the arena when Harper suddenly turned his back on his opponent and calmly walked out of the ring. The crowd erupted in boos, calling him a coward. But Harper didn't flinch, continuing to leave the arena, ignoring the accusations being thrown his way. You might think this was a rigged fight, but the real reason will make you see Harper in a whole new light. He was disqualified, sure, but his actions were a clever way to get back at his agent, who had been trying to steal most of his earnings. Harper's dramatic exit was his...
You are charging people for the same thing, one checked bag or one carry-on bag on the same flight. People are paying wildly different prices for it. They have no idea what it's going to be. I think people will be amazed to learn today that if they fly on your airline, heck, the guy next to him may be paying $15 for the carry-on bag, and they may be.
So this guy is a Republican? I mean, this guy is literally a Marxist. The Republicans have become a party of Marxists.
Paying $80. Last thing, because.
Did you know someone stole a Boeing aircraft and got away with it?
This Hornet has my F-15
Sometimes racism works out, black people.
This jet could have replaced the legendary F-22 Raptor, but it was rejected for a reason almost...
Let me show you something. This is a normal harbor in Iceland. And as you can see, the edge line is painted yellow in the box.
I'm gonna hit the pause button here.
Is your dog friendly?
Super friendly.
Super friendly.
Extra friendly.
Extra fluffy, too.
He's extra everything.
Hi.
Here's a concise summary of the content. NASA's Voyager 1 and 2 spacecraft.
That's super hard to explain to people. While you look at a guy and you're like, listen to me, that guy's gonna f that guy up. And people go, what are you talking about? I'm like, listen to me, that guy's gonna, like, when Anderson Silva first fought Chris Levin, I remember the odds were like real close. And I pulled a friend of mine aside, I said, bet the house. Bet the house on Anderson. He goes, are you serious? I go, bet the house. This guy's an assassin. This is a different thing. You're seeing a different thing. I'm telling you, this is one of the rare, and sky has to fall for him to lose. That's super hard to explain to people. While you look at a guy and you're like, listen to me, that guy's gonna f that guy up. And people go, what are you?
You need to move these coins so that they switch sides. So the red are going to be on the yellow side and the yellow on the red. That's not what I mean. You can't go out of the line.
But I am a problem solver, so I need to get this right. So that goes there. You've not been very specific with the instructions.
I mean, it's quite obvious.
But then how does that go? Can they get...
They can touch, but they just can't overlap. You got to be a problem solver here, John.
Right, yeah. Okay, let me put these back. Let me lock in. Okay. Do.
Yep.
Do.
Okay.
Do.
Yeah. Okay, you solved one. You can keep going. All right, we're doing well. Okay,
that can go back there.
Yeah.
That can go there.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Oh, we're getting somewhere, Josh.
Okay. I just need to move their position.
Ooh. Oh my goodness! So done. You need to move these coins so that they switch.
There are stars which are billions of years older than our sun. Some of them very likely have planets, and therefore I can imagine civilizations immensely beyond the capabilities of our own.
No.
What capabilities those are, no one can tell, in the same sense that even the most fantastic prognostications from the middle of the 19th century about the technology of the 20th century all fell short. People like Jules Verne, asked to imagine what transportation devices people would have in 1950, imagined a kind of Victorian living room with plush velvet furniture in a gondola at the bottom of an enormous balloon which went from New York to San Francisco in only a few weeks. And he was, of course, the most imaginative speculative thinker of the 19th century. Others would have been more cautious. So it's very difficult to predict far into the future, even 100 years, when not only new technology.
Japan is building the world's fastest train, pouring a
How could liquid swallowed into the digestive tracts end up in the bladder?
The other confusing thing about this is that urine has around 6 different bacterial species on average, whereas the guts can house up to 1,000. So for our forbidden golden rainbow to blossom, the liquids that we swallow into our stomach and our intestines need to be absorbed by an intermediary.
The thing about Americans that I've thought about the language is that
the fact that Newsom is laughing shows that he couldn't care less about this.
This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered.
19, humanity crossed a cosmic threshold.
I swear that if Brock Lesnar got into mixed martial arts right out of college, well, went college wrestler, right into training, really learned striking, and learned slowly, like took some small fights.
Like John Jones did.
Yeah, but really learned striking instead of like spending all that time doing WWE, which I'm sure he made a fuckload of money.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, good
Way
for
more.
him. That's all great and everything like that. But man, I think he could have been one of the all-time greats. I really do.
You're not waking Kyle. You're waking his father.
I commend your observational skills.
You have no reason to think any amount of drugs will wake.
Look at this distinguished gentleman. Look at the way he is sitting. Yes, very distinguished.
Wow.
She was tired of giving them the mommy milk. Where is everybody? That's the haunting question physicist Enrico Fermi asked, kicking off a mystery that's still
Life in prison for murdering Eric Forrester, a high school honor student who was shot and killed when he interrupted a burglary in his home.
Then this, more drama as the family spilled out into the hallway when we offered Patterson's family and friends a chance to give their reaction. Instead, one of them assaulted Fox 4 photographer Paul Beam.
Man, will you get that camera out of my face, man? I'm not gonna kill you.
This young man, after being dressed the part with the polo and the khaki pants, cussed out the courtroom, cussed out the jury, cussed out the judge, and it was all captured on film.
I am grateful that the jury got to see the real Broderick Patterson. I think he demonstrated exactly who we believed and who the evidence showed he was.
Life in prison for murdering Eric Forrester, a high school honor student who was shot.
Miss Effie was her name. Through the West she won her fame, being handy.
When this dad was walking his daughter down the aisle at her wedding, he suddenly stopped and told her to wait while he started walking down alone, and everyone there was confused.
Why do 60% of aviation enthusiasts argue over the hawk?
Apparently, if you use a cat scratching post, they get angry with you. I saw a video where someone tried to.
Hey, Chief.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing well. Well, not too well.
Someone out here to take your report, but so you're pressing charges against him, correct?
Correct. I want to press charges against both of the officers that threw me down the steps.
They threw you down the steps.
I have it on video.
You have it on video?
That is correct. I have it on, and I have a witness that he gave me his number. His name is Ronald. He was walking outside of City Hall with me at the same time. And as he was leaving, he said that I will be a witness. I saw what they did to you. I will write a statement.
What I need you to do for me, if you're filing a complaint against my two officers, I need you to come to my office and see my internal affairs guy and fill out a report, and we'll carry it on. We'll do internal investigation, and I'll notify my supervisor if that's fine with you.
Hey, Chief.
Hey, man, how are you?
I had always wanted with Voyager to turn the cameras back from the outer solar system and
imagine peering into the heart.
This customer called and said there was sparking under their trailer. Well, that'll put hair on your chest. Yep, she's still alive. I kind of figured that the breaker had tripped when the customer saw the sparking. But just to be on the safe side, I figured I'd check it with my non-contact tester. And right now I'm just listening to the tester beep so I can turn off the right breaker. This is what the circuit that was just popping. Yeah, I'm just going to rip these number 10s right out of here. There's really no reason for them to be there. They weren't hooked up to anything, and I don't want them to accidentally become re-energized. These conductors were burned pretty good, and I'm glad.
How CEO killer Luigi Mangione became hero to so many.
Luigi Mangione, the alleged murderer of Brian Thompson, the late CEO of US Health Insurer United Healthcare, well, you'd have to have taken an impromptu excursion to the Andromeda Galaxy if this particular story has passed you by. Now, to avoid any misunderstanding, who claims I'm violating the law or YouTube rules, glorifying and inciting violence, I don't support killing anyone. I know, bombshell, right? I think anyone who follows me already got that particular gist, so it's been interesting to see many of the people who are focused on this particular killing as a particularly obscene outrage are often the very same people who have actively advocated the industrial level slaughter of the Palestinian people for the last 14 months. An article in The Atlantic, whose editor incidentally is a former Israeli prison guard, is headlined, "Decivilization may already be underway," with a subheading, "The brazen murder of a CEO in Midtown Manhattan and the cheering reaction to his execution amounts to a blinking and blaring warning signal for a society."
This guy is insane. Oh my god. Anyway, I don't know. What do other people say about this? So Python code. Bell's test. Just Bell. No. So Bell's test simulation in Python. It's always good to hear another good explanation. Maybe without the word code. Maybe Bell's inequality. Oh, there it is. Bell's inequality simulation.
where there's an angle of 22.5. 15, within the space of just... In 2015, within the space of just 3 months, we got not just the first one, or the first two, but the first 3 Bell test experiments that claim to contain no loopholes. These experiments appear to show that 2 particles at different physical locations can act as a single entity. Surely now the 80-year-old debate was over. Spooky action at a distance must really be happening. Or was it just possible that there was a different and very plausible loophole that they'd all missed? Bell test experiments are not about bells. They take their name from the physicist John Bell, who devised a scenario for which Niels Bohr's quantum mechanics would produce different results to the thought experiment proposed by Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen. John Bell's idea can be a bit difficult to get your head around, but hopefully the following description will be relatively easy to follow. First, consider natural light passing through a polarizing filter. The filter reduces the intensity of the light by 50%, and the natural assumption is that only half the photons manage to pass through. If we then add a second filter, where there's an angle of 22.5 degrees between the filter alignments, then the intensity reduces by a further 15%. And again, we assume that some photons fail to pass through the second filter. From a quantum mechanics viewpoint, each photon travels as a wave of probability, and so the probability of it passing through both filters can be calculated as cosine squared of the angle between the 2 filters. But from a classical physics viewpoint, each photon of light has its own polarization. After passing through the first filter, all the photons become vertically polarized, and then at the second filter, the intensity out is calculated as the intensity in times the cosine of the angle between the polarization of the light and the axis of the polarizer. Now, we separate the 2 filters and we send one of the entangled pair of photons through each of them. The entangled photons are supposed to act as one entity. And so, if photon A passes through its filter, then by spooky action at a distance, photon B will act as though it has the same polarization as photon A's filter. But if photon A fails to pass through its filter, then photon B will act as though it has a polarization perpendicular to the alignment of photon A's filter. John Bell realized how this could be used to get results that would be impossible for classical physics to reproduce. Instead of photons, consider a stream of coins being passed to 3 people who then flip the coins. Let's call these 3 people angles. The first person is a particular angle that we'll call angle A. The second person is a slightly different angle that we'll call angle B. The third's another angle that we'll call angle C. Now, if all 3 people flip a coin at the same time, there are 8 possible outcomes. Note that we denote heads as 1 and tails as 0. So 0, 0, 0 means they all flip tails, and 1, 1, 1 means they all flipped heads. If the 3 people keep flipping coins, then each result will always be one of these 8 rows. Next, we identify the rows where A flipped heads and B flipped tails, which is denoted by the column heading of A not B. Then we identify where B flipped heads and C flipped tails. And finally, we identify where A flipped heads and C flipped tails. Now, if we wanted to count the number of times A flipped heads and B flipped tails, then we would need to add up the number of times these 2 results occurred. And if we wanted to add the number of times B flipped heads and C flipped tails, then we add the count for the relevant rows, giving us the count for these 4 rows to add up. But now consider the count for A flipped heads and C flipped tails. Since both the relevant rows are already part of the 4 rows we've already counted, we know that this count cannot exceed the count for all 4 rows. Mathematically, we can say that the sum of the first 2 counts must be greater than or equal to the third count. Indeed, if all 3 people flip at the same time, then it's impossible to violate this inequality. But what if we set up some trials where just 2 people flip a coin at any one time? On one side, we could select between angle A and angle B, and on the other side, we could select between angle B and angle C. From all the trials with angle A and angle B, we can get the number where A is heads and B is tails. And from the trials with angle B and angle C, we can get the number where B is heads and C is tails. And from the trials with angle A and angle C, we can get the number where A is heads and C is tails. Bell realized that if there was no spooky action going on, then this should still not violate the inequality. But if spooky action was going on, then it should be possible to select some angles that would cause this inequality to be violated. If we rewrite this inequality as probabilities instead of numbers, then this forms the original expression known as Bell's inequality. Now let's sketch out an experiment where we can select between 2 angles at each side. We could use a polarizing beam splitter on each side, so that a photon passing straight through can be thought of as heads, and a reflected photon can be thought of as tails. Other forms of Bell inequality were devised, the most popular being known as the CH-SH inequality. This inequality requires 100% detection, and this cannot be achieved in a photon-based experiment. But this inequality was used by the first of the 3 loophole-free experiments, which was based on the measurement of electron spin. But the second and third loophole-free experiments were based on photons, and so they used just 1 detector at each side. Then they used an inequality known as the Eberhard inequality. This uses some counts of where only 1 of an entangled pair of photons is detected. With these photon-based experiments, could the observed results be explained by classical physics? This video was brought to you by ExtremeFiniteism.com. "2015 saw the first 3 Bell test experiments that claimed to contain no loopholes. Surely spooky action at a distance must really be happening." The use of the CH-SH inequality for a photon-based Bell test is problematic because it requires 100% detection, which we cannot achieve with photons. But if we remove 1 detector at each side, then we can use the Eberhard inequality, which takes account of detection at 1 side only. But could the observed violations of this inequality be explained by classical physics? If 40 photons enter a polarizing filter, then the natural assumption is that only half of them pass through. But one possible way we can make use of Einstein's hidden variables would be to suggest that all photons might actually pass through, and then a hidden property would cause just half of them to be detected. Can a model using this approach produce the observed results? Yes, it can. Would it also predict the observed one-sided detections? Yes, it would. Whereas quantum mechanics does not predict any one-sided detections. The very first Bell test experiments were also photon-based, and so you might well wonder why a classical physics explanation was dismissed. Well, the undetected photons were dismissed as not being important. They made the assumption that undetected photons had the same properties as the detected photons, which seems a bit strange. Surely it would be more reasonable to assume they had different properties, otherwise they should have been detected. It was claimed that the detected photons were a fair sample of all the photons. This gave them license to ignore the fact that the CH-SH inequality requires 100% detection. And so in order to explain why photons with exactly the same properties behave differently, we have to then assume that some mysterious, unspecified thing that is external to the photons is determining which ones get detected. Using this so-called fair sampling assumption, it was declared that experimental results confirmed the quantum mechanics predictions, and all counter-arguments were dismissed as being highly unlikely loopholes. John Clauser had a lot to do with the first ever Bell test. He was one of the authors of the CH-SH inequality, and working with Stuart Friedman, he performed the first Bell test experiment in 1972. Later, he enjoyed discussing entanglement with the fundamental physics group, who wanted to use entanglement to promote Eastern mysticism. There was a very simple way to explain the results, which is this: if an entangled photon has a polarization angle close to an axis of the filter, then it has a high probability of being detected. But if it was fair to assume that the undetected photons could be dismissed, then this was a sensational and highly newsworthy result that appeared to support the very weird idea that spooky action at a distance was real, and it would question the fundamental nature of reality. Arguably, the CH-SH inequality was inadequate for experiments like this, where a lot of photons are not detected. And it could be claimed that it was unfair to assume fair sampling. But the sensational news of spooky action was very appealing, and so entanglement soon gained general acceptance. This meant that only experimental results that appeared to confirm spooky action would get reported, possibly giving a completely false impression that quantum mechanics was highly successful. All counter-arguments were now dismissed as mere loopholes. If an experiment produces some exceptional result, then we might expect our scientists to change various aspects of the experiment to see how they alter the result, with the ultimate goal of trying to identify the cause of the strange result. If someone claimed to be able to read your mind, then hopefully we would not just believe them based on the result of a simple trick. But bizarrely, the scientific method of drilling down into the detail to find a cause was no longer required, because our scientists were believers in spooky action. Regardless of whether or not spooky action is really going on, there can be no excuse for not performing extensive and rigorous investigations to try to identify the cause. To simply accept these results as evidence of spooky action is not the action of a scientific investigator, it's the action of believers in mysticism. It's the action of people who want to believe that there are weird things out there that are beyond human comprehension. Instead, it's left up to the rest of us to try to guess at what the cause might be. This video was brought to you by extremefinatism.com. In 2015 saw the first 3 Bell test experiments that claimed to contain no loopholes. Surely spooky action at a distance must really be happening. One approach that a skeptic could use to try to guess why these experiments are violating Bell inequalities would be to compare the loophole-free experiments and search for common factors. The fact that all the experiments use hardware random number generators, either partly or exclusively, is highly suspicious. There's no real excuse for using hardware random number generators. If the universe could mysteriously predict the sequence of an algorithm, then surely the universe could equally predict the sequence produced by a hardware random number generator. So why would anyone choose these devices when their reliance on physical materials means that they're prone to bias? Physical properties of materials can change due to things like temperature change, application of an electrical field, and so on. It is true that a bias in the random number generators alone would not be able to violate a Bell inequality. But if the production of the photon pairs also has some bias, then the combined effect could cause a violation. Let's demonstrate this with a simple made-up example. This is the inequality we want to violate. The 4 terms are probabilities, where plus means detected and 0 means not detected. So the third term, P0 plus of A2, B1, means the probability of not detected at side A, but detected at side B, for angle settings A2, B1. Now let's completely make up some cause for bias in the random number generators, such as an alternating current from the power supply. The bias might result in the setting combination A2, B2 occurring almost exclusively if a random number is requested at the peaks and troughs of the alternating current. There might be a similar very strong bias in favour of other combinations at other parts of the alternating current, and as a result, there might not be any overall noticeable bias. But if there's also bias in the rate at which photon pairs are produced, then, as shown here, we could end up with a disproportionately low count for one of the settings combinations. This would result in this term in the inequality being disproportionately small, which could result in an apparent violation. Given this type of problem, you might think it's very important to avoid the use of hardware random number generators, and you would be correct. As it is so important to avoid these, how many loophole-free experiments do avoid them? None of them. This might be a bit concerning, but surely we can't use it to match the result of an actual experiment, can we? Well, if we include another very simple effect, then yes, we can. Our results will go into this table. First, we'll start with 4 zones, one for each of the settings combinations. And as before, we'll have a low rate of photon production for the A2, B2 setting. So the photon pair production will be very low for this 2-2 zone. Then we can invent some probabilities for the detection of a photon. And we can easily generate some figures that we can relate to the inequality. The count relating to the first term will be this one. For the second term will be this one. Third term, this one. And finally, the fourth term will relate to this one. These are very close to the actual figures in one of the experiments, except that These 4 values were far, far bigger in the real experiment. So how can we duplicate that? Well, a simple way is to not assume that a pair of photons is always produced. So we can simply say that we got these singles on the Alice side and these singles on the Bob side. Note that I've assumed 100% detection so that we can simply add these figures to the corresponding figures highlighted in yellow and get the desired results. Normally, detection will be less than 100%, and so these singles counts would need to be a bit higher to get the same results. So the apparent violation only occurs when you combine it with the other real-world deviating property that is the rate at which photon pairs are created. You could say we are combining aberrating properties, where aberrating means deviating from the standard state. This is called the combined real-world aberrating properties loophole, or the CRAP loophole for short. And if you don't get rid of the bias over time, then you risk being susceptible to this loophole. This video is brought to you by extremefinitism.com.
Does this end? How many of these videos does he have?
Extreme Finitism presents Astounding! 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on does not equal minus 112. This is a response video to a number file video called Astounding! 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on equals minus 112, in which it claims if you add up all the natural numbers all the way up to infinity, the answer is minus 112. In this video, we will reveal the truth about minus 112. First off, when we manipulate a series that does not end, the rigorous approach is to work with respect to the nth term. Here we have the series S1, and the S stands for series, not sum. It would be misleading to call it a sum because the series has no end point, and so cannot have a sum. We have an unspecified number of terms up to the nth term, and the series continues endlessly after the nth term. Now we can add another S1 and shift some terms, and notice how we line up the endless parts after the nth term. Here we simply add these two together, then we divide through by 2 to get this new expression for series S1. If you use a less rigorous method, you might end up losing the end part of this result, and be left with S1 equals a half. But if you end up with an endless series being equal to a fixed value, then you've made a mistake. Now if we drop the endless part, we find we found an expression for the sum to the nth term. We have derived the partial sum expression. The fixed part of this expression would be called the limit if we had a converging series. But with a diverging series like this one, the fixed part is what remains after this diverging part is removed. And it could be argued that this is what the informal approach tries to...
So he's very popular in the jail. Luigi's cellmates cheer. His popularity terrifies media. Vouch. Okay, I'm hungry. I'm gonna take a break. But maybe what I should do is review more videos that explain Bell's inequality. Especially this guy. Anyone who debunks Bell's inequality, we should review their videos. Okay, I'll see you later.